Hi there. Is there a direct connection between the Calvine UFO and the TIC seen off the coast of San Diego? Very interesting question, and possibly the answer is yes. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for watching. Opening statement. UAPs are real. Unknown anomalous phenomenon have occurred on Earth for thousands of years. They are unknown. They are non-human intelligence. But most things that are seen can be explained. There are strange things out there. I know they exist. But what I'm offering you is my unique take. Not as a UFO fanboy and not as a debunker. But what I'm doing for you is looking at the big picture, asking big questions, looking for confirmation, never trusting that we'll get disclosure. Today's story about the TAC and the Calvine object's links is one of those big picture connections. It all started when I became a private pilot with a Cessna, flying in American airspace. The little airport I was based in was just north of something called a MOA, military operational area, and I had to fly through it to go for my $100 hamburger or visit friends. This is in Wisconsin. During my flight training, just like Scott Manley, we were both told that you have to speak to somebody before entering the MOA. And Scott and I know that this is true. But you can. It's not restricted airspace. You need to be under direct communication, probably with a transponder code, so you don't come up as a wee blop. You come up as a box that says Simon Holland Cessna speed and direction with a track. And anybody else in the MOA is also being tracked. I knew that, and before entering the MOA, I would talk to the controlling authority. Often in my 90-knot cruising speed of my wee Cessna on my way to my hamburger restaurant. Sorry, Scott. I would cross the MOA. Before I entered its boundaries that are on my chart, I would have to speak to the tower controller to ask permission. They'll get back to me with permission or not permission and immediately tell me who multiple agencies were using the MOA as well as me. Commonly, we had 3 people using it at the same time. Now, this is a big point. I'm going to come back to this with the Nimitz encounter. So there's wee me in my Cessna, and I was given a transponder code, and I'm going beep, 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 beep. At the same time, over at the west of the MOA, the Army were testing big Reaper drones, flying with joysticks, and maybe even dropping live ammunition. I don't know what they were doing, but they were way over in the west, 100 miles away. But there was a potential conflict with me, and that was Air National Guard F-16s. And I've talked to Chris Leto about this, an F-16 pilot, and he confirms that this is something that would happen. An F-16 pilot, like every pilot, is constantly being trained and tested and demonstrating their abilities. The Air National Guard Squadron, British, whatever they're called, used to go up to high altitude, turn off their engines and do something called an unpowered spiral descent in an F-16. It's really stressful. And by using great skill and energy management, land successfully with no power on the wee runway. Now, during that maneuver, they were really busy managing their F-16 with no power, and they weren't looking for me. So it was the controlling authority that had to keep the Army's drones, the F-16s, and me in my wee Cessna all apart. And we did that by talking to each other and being under positive radar guidance. That's what happens in an MOA. Okay, the Nimitz and the big picture that nobody says. The media tell you that the encounter that Fravor had with the TAC was off the coast of San Diego. Well, yeah, sure, but it was in a very specific named military operational area. This is an area where things can be tested and that don't conflict with JetBlue and whoever's flying out to Hawaii, it's not commercially used airspace. It could be, as long as everybody's talking to each other, but most of the time it's marked on your chart and things in there. You can do live fire exercises. You can be undersea and to space in that particular MOA off the coast of San Diego. And it can be used by multiple agencies simultaneously at the same time. Yes, Simon, I just said that. If they are all talking to each other, that's very common practice. That's probably what happened that very day. So the off the coast of San Diego MOA was probably controlled by somebody at Catalina Island, and we'll get on to who that is in a minute. And they'd already got a booking for the US Navy Nimitz live fire exercise, and they could have had other bookings at the same time. Now, it's very important that they all talk to each other. The Navy knew they were in an MOA, and it's very important that if you come across an unknown, non-NORDO, non-communicating aircraft, you kind of do your live fire exercises, you have to stop. And you would contact the controlling authority and says, who's the unknown aircraft that we're seeing on our radar? That's what the Princeton was seeing. They were seeing multiple returns in their MOA, in their training, in their live fire test area, which is a safe area from other commercial aircraft, and they had to stop their live fire exercises. Were they being told by whoever it is, Catalina Island, whoever is the control of the MOA, who the others were? No, that's very strange, because the controller would have known who the others were as long as they were in touch with them. So is it just possible? By the way, they're not telling me this, but I know who to ask now with this big picture question. Is it possible that there were two agencies, the US Navy and an unknown agency, using the off the San Diego MOA at the same time? Yes, it's legal, it's possible, only the controllers would know. So what kind of stuff could you do in that particular MOA? Because they're all different. That one, you could do live fire exercises, and it was from subsea to space, and very specifically, it was available to be used by defense contractors testing advanced propulsion systems. Oh, so it's absolutely kosher, it's absolutely real that you could have Lockheed Martin or the Department of Energy testing an exotic drone type craft at the same time as Fravor and the Nimitz were doing live fire exercises, as long as they're talking and as long as they're kept separate by the controlling authority. You know, and that's what happened to me. Cessnas, F-16s and drones all in the same MOA because we were talking to each other. But that's not what happened to Fravor. Princeton kept on seeing these unknown aircraft in the MOA for their live firing exercise. So they cancelled their exercise, and no doubt they contacted the controlling authority and goes, who's the wee blobbies? We don't know who they are. We can't actually operate live fire if there's NORDO, non-communicating aircraft, in the MOA. That's what I want answered. The person, the man, the woman who's actually the air traffic controller, the controlling authority of that particular MOA. On a log, they would have Princeton exercise and another agency using it to test a vehicle, if that's true. I think that is possible. Would an alien in a TIC only use a military operational area so they don't conflict with commercial traffic? No. Why would they? They would appear on the White House lawn. They would appear over LAX. It would cause a big fuss. But in this case, they were only seen in an MOA, military operational area, where you can test exotic propulsion vehicles by defense contractors. Oh. So here, loyal viewers, is what I think, in my humble opinion, might have happened. It was either an alien from the planet Zog who knew about military operational areas and didn't want to conflict with airspace rules, or it was a defense contractor trying something. And the other clue is why David, Commander Fravor, was the eyeballs that saw the TIC. Think about that for a minute. David Fravor isn't just the most senior naval aviator. He's the man who actually trains other Navy aviators. He's their ace. He's their top gun. Why send David Fravor and Alec Dietrich to actually look for this unknown bogey? Why not send some oik? It's all, to me, in my humble opinion, raising some big questions. Unknown vehicle in an MOA where you can test stuff. David Fravor chosen to go and look at this unknown vehicle, but he was chosen by somebody in the Navy, selected to go and look at this unknown vehicle that's in a military operation area. Maybe the TIC was actually human. Advanced propulsion, strange characteristics, but in fact, it's there in an MOA, and David Fravor was cherry-picked to go and see it with his trained eyeballs. His report is fantastic. What he described is exactly the type of information that somebody building the TIC would want to know the most senior naval aviators' view when they saw their exotic craft. It's only my humble idea, folks, so just go with it. I'm not debunking that it's alien. I'm saying here's another big picture possibility. That it actually was a Department of Energy test drone vehicle using exotic physics, using the kind of propulsion systems that David Fravor and the Navy didn't know about. Uncannily similar to the Calvine craft, which we almost definitely know was a man-made test vehicle. It might be an exotic man-made vehicle. It's white, it's 40 foot long, it's transmedium, meaning it started under the sea, it can hover over the sea and oscillate, and very importantly, it can go up vertically at a great rate of knots, something that Commander Fravor and Alex Dietrich had never seen in their Navy career. Well, because they don't know what it is. They fly out and they spot it. Something very interesting. I totally believe what David Fravor's report says, but actually there's an inconsistency in it. David Fravor broke off the two-flight F-18 formation to descend to look at the TIC. When he got down towards the sea, he had a very good view of it. It was oscillating and it came up and he was spiraling around, so it gave the impression that it was moving sideways. It was probably just going up. And David Fravor says this whole thing took maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Commander Alex Dietrich, who was still up there, said the whole thing probably took 30 seconds to a minute. That's a very typical thing of human perception. David, in the adrenaline rush of the moment, thinks the whole incident lasted longer than it really did, from somebody up there who was overseeing the thing. That's fine. I understand that. So you're saying to me, what's the connection with Calvine? Well, I think they're both surveillance drones. I think they're operated by agencies outside of the military. I think they're used by spy and surveillance agencies, the NRA, the NSA, and they're probably built by people like BAE Systems, Lockheed Martin, and the TIC has a lot of characteristics to a published, known vehicle type that was being built by the Department of Energy at Los Alamos. It was an aerogel drone type. It had the characteristics of being multi-medium. It could hover, it could oscillate, and it could go vertically up at a great rate of knots. And it was a very unknown shape. TIC, white, 40 foot long. It was an aerogel vacuum drone. Maybe, I don't know, but I know a person who does. We need to contact the MOA controlling authority and ask what actually was logged on their records that day. They had the Princeton Nimitz exercise, and who else was in the MOA? Just like me and my Cessna, other people can be using it as long as we're all talking to each other. Please reach out if you actually are the controlling authority from wherever you are, Catalina Island, I suspect, and tell us who was in your MOA that day. Because of you, the truth needs to be out there.